Hello, everybody. Welcome to this webinar on how to influence the interviewer in 10 minutes. 10 minutes is hypothetical, but how to influence the interviewer. Basically, what we will be sharing here today is how to understand the mind of the interviewer, how to get into the psyche of an interviewer so that we start evaluating when they ask a question, not what they are asking, but why they are asking, plus a few more tips from an MBA perspective as to when you go for an interview, what are the basic things that you need to be ready with. So let's get started with today's session. Like I said, the title of the session, let me start the screen share, please. Like I said, influence the interviewer in 10 minutes. Okay, so let's go to the first slide. And the first thing, let us understand about the word called perception. In fact, not only interview, but everything in this world revolves around perception. You have 10 minutes to not to influence the interviewer. It's all a game about perception because nobody knows the actual you. It's going to be very tough to find out who the actual person is in a 10-minute interaction. So not only in interviews, but even in real life, we start deciding people based on our mental map, our perception about the person, our perception about his likes or his dislikes, his or her likes or his or like dislikes. Is there a common thing between two people that actually builds a rapport? So that's the predominant area which we need to focus on, which is perception. Let me ask everybody a simple question. Is there anything called right or wrong in this world? I'm very sure that the answer becomes debatable. I get this answer, so I ask them a question. Killing somebody, right or wrong? Now it's again a perception game. The answer usually is right, wrong, or some people say depends upon the situation. Yes, if I am in the army and there are two terrorists entering, obviously my job is to kill. I can't say please enter, and leave it at that. I can't do that. So the reason why we put this question is it depends upon who is right, who is wrong. Sometimes also depends upon which side of the equation are you in. A country is waging a war with B country, okay, and A soldier kills B soldier. A team will say it's right, B team will say it's wrong. So sometimes perception depends upon which side you are in before we actually make a uh, decision based on perception. So why did I say this thing about perception is because a lot of times students tend to debate it. They come and say, sir, I was probably the right candidate for the job, but I did not get selected. Okay, XYZ reasons. Okay, let's understand. At that 10 minutes point in time, if a person is able to influence the interviewer, his job is done. Because I usually go to work with a lot of colleges. Some students come and tell me, sir, he got selected, sir, 63% marks, sir. I'm 83% marks, and I'm at 60. I'm at 83% marks, but a 63% student got selected. Okay, so again, it's a question of marks probably are not the only way to select a person. Okay, that's why we keep the process of interviews. If marks were the only criteria, then the companies would just tell their principal, send me the top 5 students, we'll send the offer letters. Why do we keep this process of interview? Is predominantly to understand the mindsets of the students so that we are able to gauge them in a real life scenario with respect to problem solving and the others. So probably a student who is able to convey the message in that 10 minutes of interview that I'm the right person probably gets selected. So that's what we are going to learn here. So let me ask you a small question before we start about what we seek in an interview. If I were to take a small 1 rupee chocolate, okay, I take out the wrapper, and I keep that brown color stuff, say chocolates or eclairs, okay, I take out the wrapper and a brown color piece of hard boiled chocolate in my hand, or I put that into a bottle. I have a bottle, I fill that with all that brown color stuff, no wrapper, no branding, nothing. And I take out, you pay me money, I open the bottle, I take that out and give it to you. First question is, will you buy it? Okay, the question sometimes most often is no way, I'm not going to buy it. So let me ask you the next question. Suppose if you were not to buy it and I ask you, what is the value that you feel this is worth? What is the value of chocolate this is worth? I get answers of 25 paise, 50 paise, etc. But nobody is willing to pay more than 50 paise for that brown color stuff which is in the bottle. So the question here is, where did maximum paisa go? If 25 paise is the worth that you feel the chocolate is, 75 paise went for the wrapper. Let us understand this wrapper. There are two things in the wrapper. One is the packaging, the look, the beautification, the ethics of it, what do you call the etiquettes of it, the ethnical value that it promotes, plus the brand of the name of the company of the chocolate. That's what gives the 75 percentage. Now, brand and dressing sense also is a matter of perception. So let us be very clear that if even in an interview where I'm going to go and fight for the job, okay, the 75 percentage battle is the perception battle, and probably 25 percentage is the knowledge of the stuff that I have, which is needed to bring about the push in the actual sale. So that's the first thing. So let us now understand from the interviewer's perspective, what is it that the interviewer seeks when we hire people. I'm personally mentoring around 7 startups. So whenever we hire people, there are three things predominantly we look at. The first one is communication. Okay, when I said communication, we don't want Shakespeare's and Bernard Shaw's in our company. English is a medium to talk to people. English is necessary to crack interviews, but at the same time, don't give too much importance to the fluency of the grammar. We are absolutely fine if you can convey your idea to us, even with broken English, because that speaks a lot about an attitude of the person. Okay, but at the same time, I am not saying English is not important. Have a basic spoken English which is grammatically a little bit towards the right side, towards above average. It's absolutely fine, especially spoken English. Written grammar, suppose if you're getting into a job which is into email communication with the clientele, then yes, grammar, punctuation marks, all these things starts making a difference. But normal MBA graduate applying for a job in freshers, if you're pretty decent in manageable English, spoken English, absolutely fine. That's what we seek. Okay. Second, domain expertise. Uh, Here we'll talk about this in detail in the coming slides. That's a slide specifically for domain expertise. With due respects to all the MBA graduates here, the conceptual clarity of subjects and domains is lacking in today's generation. With due respects, I'm making a very generalized statement. It's not specific to anybody. The conceptual knowledge, when I talk about the basics, the fundamentals, that's lacking. Yes, to a large extent, the Indian education system is also equally to be blamed, because we are passing certifications after certifications with the aim to copy paste what is there in the textbook to the answer sheet without passing through our minds. Okay, so that's something. Third, we'll talk a lot about this in detail about attitude. Okay, now this is depends upon the job. Aggression, we need an aggressive candidate for a sales or marketing job. Okay, learning attitude needed for something who is open to an R&D or analyst kind of a job. So it depends upon the job. But when I say broadly attitude, which we seek for an interview, is the ability and the openness to learn new things, unlearn stuff which is there in our mind, and most importantly, the ability which we look out for in a candidate is, are you willing to put in 200% efforts for 100% job? That's the criteria. Because a lot of times people come with a mindset, Saturday is holiday. No, that's a dangerous question. When you ask, we probably work only 5 days a week. But when you ask that question, is Saturday and holiday? No, that's a dangerous sign for the interviewer to understand. Okay, this gentleman wants to do a lot of shortcuts in life. So that's the thing which we are talking about in attitude. We'll again talk about this a little bit in detail towards the end. So let's get started with small tips. I promised you all a lot of tips. So let me give you that, which I'm sure a lot of people are waiting for it. So the first thing, before we come to the tips part of it, there's one slide which I want to talk about on communication. Again, we need to be articulate. When I talk about articulate, it is the ability to put in content crisply without making it into the jalebi kind, once upon a time, Ekta Kapoor serial, 5 minute story taken into 18 years of episodes. So predominantly, we want a candidate to be able to sum up his thoughts in an articulate manner, convey it precisely, as brief as possible, at the same time not neglecting the important points of the discussion or the important point of views that he or she wants to share. So that's the first thing that we look out for in communication. Language, we have not yet spoken about it. Articulation that we look out for in a candidate. That's the first thing. Second thing, we want the person to be empathetic towards the other person. Suppose it's a group discussion happening, people are talking. We want this person to understand the mindsets of the other person. Listen to those people. Put yourself in the other person's shoes before you counter people. We love people who are rational in nature in terms of understanding other people's point of views, giving importance to other people's thought process, and then reconstructing the thought in their mind and then coming out with counter arguments. Amazing. These are the kind of people whom any organization would love to have. So be empathetic towards the other person. Be a good listener. Okay, you cannot be empathetic if you are not a good listener. Most of the times communication is not one-sided talking. I normally don't do this kind of sessions. I love to do Zoom meetings where after every slide I actually ask questions to the participants, and it's an interactive based session. But unfortunately Zoom allows me only 100 participants, and we got a registration of at least 400 to 450 plus. That's the main reason why we did this on YouTube. That too, this is the main reason why we have actually converted this seminar into a two-phase workshop. One is where you are seeing this video. Immediately after this, there will be a live question and answer session where I will come on camera on the live session, and then we can have an interaction where we post the questions on the comments box and I start answering them. Of course, there will be a time limit left to that, but I'll try to do justice to most of the important questions asked. Okay, so please bear with me. This is a session first where I talk and then we take it up. Doesn't mean that people are not good listeners. Okay, yeah. So, but this is a need of the heart where we took this decision based on the huge amount of response that we got from a lot of people. So going further, the tips. Okay, I know a lot of people are excited to listen about this. The first tip that I can give you in an interview is, I call this my golden rules. Don't write this in any kind of question paper. Example, golden rules to pass exams, you will not get marks. This is out of my own experience which I'm bringing to the table. The first thing which I would love to share here is, never give one word answers. I'll give this with an example. Suppose one of the interviewer asks you a question, are you a creative person? Okay, now you can always say yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, I think I'm creative. But understand, all this according to me are one word answers. Predominantly what we say is, don't give an answer yes or I think I am a creative person. It could go for any of these questions. The reason is, I'll give it with an example. Suppose if a candidate, I ask a candidate, are you a creative person? And this gentleman or lady tells me, I think I'm a creative person, sir, because last year I was in charge of the college festival as the auditorium committee. Last minute, sir, two curtains got torn. We did not know what to do. I caught hold of two of the lady volunteers and got their extra saris from their hostels, and we stapled those saris and made it into a nice curtain. Now understand, this shows that this person was creative with an example. So when I say don't give one word answers, I am telling all of you, please give examples. That's a very strong reason when you give examples, because in the perception battle, when a person gives an example or a question asked, somewhere in the other person's mind, it actually comes out as an authentication comment. That means, yes, this person has done that in the past. Okay, it's an authentication ka mohra, chaap lag jata hai. So you actually get the benefit of that. Okay, so that's why I say never give one word answers. Always give examples to any of these questions asked, because when you tell that you have done it in the past, it's actually a phenomenal way to impress the interviewer latently without exaggerating or boasting on yourself. It's an example that you're giving. I think I'm a creative person, sir. Last year I was in charge of the welcoming committee of the college festival. Last minute we forgot to buy the bouquets. I did not know what to do. I immediately went to the garden, caught hold of a few flowers from the bunch of flowers, a few greens here and there, and stapled it with a nice sellotape, and made it into a colorful bouquet. And an emergency, that was the best that we could do. That shows creativity. So understand this. When you give an example, the key thing which I want to say in rule number 1 is, never give one word answers. What I'm sharing to you all is, give examples. I hope this is clear. Let's now go to the second rule. Okay, very important rule. Never lie. Never lie in an interview. But at the same time, it's not important that you should speak the truth always. Please understand what I said. झूठ नहीं बोलने का, but जरूरी नहीं है सच हमेशा बोलना. Understand this. It's very deeply worded, and most of the times students goof up in interviews because of this one pointer. I'll give you hundreds of examples, or if you revisit the interviews that you have attended in college or wherever, campus interviews, wherever, this is predominantly the main reason why students don't qualify in the interview round. I'll give you some examples. I'm suppose suppose a gentleman, there are dual specializations some colleges offer. Suppose I have done marketing and finance. Okay, my core area of job preference is always finance. Okay, and the interviewer asks me, where do you see, and I've applied because of majburi or XYZ reasons, I'm applying for a marketing job. And the interviewer asks me, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Immediately the answer comes, sir, I would love to work in a bank. The answer is so straightforward that you are very clear that you have applied this because of majburi. Now, I didn't ask you this question. You yourself voluntarily sometimes give unwanted information. But at the same time, suppose let me give you a personal example. In my degree college, I was the only person who got second class in campus in my branch. And 65 percentage was first class in my university. I got around 63.4. Now, if the interviewer asks me, did you get first class or second class? I will not lie because it's a fact. I have to say that I got second class. But if it doesn't ask me, I will not go out of my way and say, sir, you must be thinking 63.4 is first class. No, sir, it is second class. This is something which is stupidity. It is like digging a 6x4 grave and asking that gentleman, I will go inside, mud you will put or I will put on myself. Okay. So please understand the basic thing. Most of the times we give unwanted information. Okay, if they ask you, are you good in this subject? Classic answer, uh, I think I'm pretty average. Okay, but if you say, no, sir, I'm not at all good. Or if he's asking about some other subject, sir, that subject I'm good, sir, but this subject I'm not good. Okay, and when I do mock interviews, of course, mock interviews, I cannot do it on a YouTube session. For interested people, we can do a paid course kind of a thing where I'll give you a 3-day workshop where we do mock interviews, we do GDs, we do creating your resume, video resumes, and as well understanding the fact of how to answer the tell me something about yourself in detail. So that's something which you have planned up for interested people. But understand this, the key here is don't give out unwanted information. One of the main reasons why students fail to qualify the interview round out of my experience is that they give unwanted information. Okay, let's go to the third point. Third point is kind of tough to understand, but if you understood it and started implementing it, trust me, you all will become the kings and queens of communication. Trust me. But it's if you comprehend this, and this is where empathy comes into place, and you take your communication to the next level. Interviews are just a piece of cake if you understand this part. So let me explain this. I know it sounds very odd. Don't answer questions. Okay, there's a corollary to it. I know I'll build the suspense. Suppose I pick any one of you and say, tell me what's your name, full name. So you will give me your name and surname. Say, let us say Rajesh Kamath. You will say, I am Rajesh Kamath, Mr. Kamath, myself Rajesh Kamath, which is a grammatically wrong answer, but still I get this answer. My name is Rajesh, my name is Kamath, XYZ. You will give your names in various permutations and combinations. Now, if I were to ask you the same question, what is your name? Is there a chance that any one of you will tell me, sir, sorry, sir, please, sir, sorry, sir. Now, understand this. First thought will say, why on health will I, when somebody is asking me my name, why will I say all this thing? I would always request you to think again. Now, slowly there would be realization dawning. Sometimes I get, sir, yes, sir, if I have done a mistake or I have got caught, then I probably will do this. I'll give you a hypothetical example. Suppose you are Rajesh Kamath's example. Whoever is Rajesh Kamath, disclaimer, nothing personal against anybody if that gentleman by that name exists. Suppose if there is this particular student copying in the exam and his name is Rajesh, and the principal has seen that from the door and walks and says, hey, you, what's your name? Now tell me, will Rajesh Kamath stand up and say, sir, my name is Rajesh Kamath, roll number 57? No, Rajesh would say, sir, sorry, sir, because he has realized not what is asked, but he has realized why this question has been asked. Now, understand this. This is the most important thing in an interview or in life. When people ask you questions, don't blindly answer questions. Always think for a few seconds why this question was asked and answer that why, not what. I'll give you another example. Suppose a lady is standing in the bus stop and a guy comes in a bike and tells, excuse me, what's your name? Now tell me, will you give out your name? Because the answer to the question, what's your name is, my name is XYZ. Okay, but you will not say out that name. You might say Chapal Nikalo Kya. Okay, in one college when I was doing a live interaction, one of the students said, would you give out your name? The lady said, sir, depends upon the guy. Okay, exactly. So what you did was you did not answer the questions. You handled the question. Let us understand the difference between handling questions and answering questions. Handling questions is why the question was asked and answering that. That is the key. Answer not what is asked, but answer why it was asked. Now, let me give you another example about real-time example in an interview. Suppose one of you, for example, okay, is a only child in the family. Suppose there's a girl child in the family, only girl, only child in the family, and she happens to be a lady. Now the suppose and this place is say a student from Bijapur or Pune or let me say not even Pune, some small town cities, Nagpur, no, let me say Bijapur, Bagalkot, some cities which is not in the urban kind of a scenario. And during the course of the interview, I ask you a question. Who all are there in your family? Now, the ideal answer for this girl student would be me and my parents. Okay. Me and my family, me and my parents. But understand something. Did we think for a second why this question was asked? Now start thinking. So every time in an interview, when an interviewer asks you a question, spend some time to understand why this question was asked. Okay, that is the key. So now if we start thinking why this question was asked, sometimes let me tell you one thing, perception ka khel hai. We are scared to hire the only children in the family for XYZ reasons. Our perception is that normally the only child in the family is a pampered kid. Okay, बहुत लाड़ प्यार से पाले हुए लोग हैं. They ask for Nokia phone, they will get iPhone from their parents. Okay, hypothetical example. Now, the reason why we asked this question was not to know who all are there in your family, but somewhere if we come to know that you are the only child in the family, boys and girls together, no problem. We feel that you are pampered. So suppose the job is in Bangalore, this job is in Bombay, this job is somewhere out of your comfort zone. I am not very sure if your parents will allow. And second thing is, wahan par you don't get proper food, you might leave the company, or your boss is scolded at you. You might tell your mom, and mom will say, "I have not scolded at you. How dare he scold? Come back." Possibilities are high. So this is one game where you need to be careful. So how do you answer this question? Now I'm giving you a hypothetical example. Suppose this child has been staying in a hostel. Now look at the connection that you can give an example. Who all are there in a family? Sir, me and my parents. But sir, last 2 years, last 5 years, last 3 years, I have been staying in a hostel. And hostel life has actually taught me a lot to adjust. Now, the answer to this question, who all in a family, and you connecting it with hostel is absolutely no way connected with what was asked. But you understood why it was asked and you were able to connect it. That is the key. So a lot of times when the interviewer asks you a question, you have to spend a few seconds, microseconds. Our thought process is very fast. Microseconds. Understand why this was asked and then answer that question. Making sense? I hope understand this. Let me give you another example because this is one of the key things which I'm going to share today here. And you can keep the questions coming on the comment section so that I will do justice to it in the question answer live session, which is after this immediately. Okay, so let me come and talk to you about one example. Sometimes there are rules. These three are the basic rules, but it could be a combination of 1, 2, 2, 3, 1 and 3, or 1, 2, 3 together. Now let me give you another type of an example. Now suppose you're applying for a store manager's job. Okay, a store manager's job where your job is predominantly handling goods in the warehouse, entering stuff as and when they get dispatched, monitoring and observing different stores in your allocated geographical area, sitting on the computer, where you every time a particular say XYZ shop in XYZ place gets reduced, the stock value will be seen on your screen. So the moment you realize that this shop in this particular area serve or what do you call automatic whichever product you are selling is getting reduced, immediately what you do, you put a key in that this stock has to be you will get a lot of pop-ups and you keep addressing each of these pop-ups and making sure that the delivery is taken care of instantly. So basically what you do sitting in the computer, as and when a pop-up comes that this stock is reduced in this particular shop, you immediately inform the warehouse to allocate stock in the vehicle that is going to the shop in the evening or whatever time. So it's like you sit on the computer, pop-up comes, take action, pop-up comes, take action, pop-up comes, take action. In probably 1 hour, you do around 30, 40, every 1 or 2 minutes, a pop-up is coming to you because you have a wide array of stores, a store manager kind of job. Now tell me something, if the package is good enough, let me not talk about numbers, if the salary package is good enough, and a lot of people will apply for this job. And in this interview, if the interviewer asks you a question, okay, are you a creative person? Now, the standard answer which I always get when I do this in real time situation, the standard answer that I get is, yes, sir, I'm a creative person. And they come out with nice examples of showing their creativity. They do rule number one, absolutely fine. I'll give you an example. Suppose they use the same answer which I did. I think I'm a creative person, sir. In fact, I'm a dancer and I choreograph a lot of dances. So choreography, I come out with various theme-based concepts, back-end audio-based concepts, sometimes screen-based concepts, and I think I'm a creative person because creativity is needed in choreographing a dance. And the interviewer says, "Lovely, good." Yeah? And if I go further, do you like making friends? Do you have a lot of friends? And this guy understood the question, does not give me a one-word answer. He says, "Yes, sir. I think I'm pretty good with not only making friends but also holding on to my friends. In fact, I have a habit that I make it a point that whenever I store people's names in my mobile phones, I actually store their birthdays also, and I normally try to wish them right at midnight when their birthday happens. It's a practice which I'm doing for the last 3-4 years. So yes, I not only make a lot of friends, I also do kind of do justice to the friendship that I make with my friends." The interviewer is nodding. Oh, lovely. And one last question, XYZ gentleman or lady. Let me ask you the next question is, can you convince people? Do you have the ability to convince people? And this guy comes out, understands again, gives me an example. Yes, sir, I think I'm pretty good in convincing people. In fact, most of the times when we allocate time to studies, and a few people say that we want to watch a movie, or sometimes I normally am able to convince them that we will put a timetable, allocate time to it, and we study at the same time, focus on entertainment. Or sometimes that's a decision making on which project to do or which movie to watch. It could be from entertainment to studies. I normally am able to put across my thought process and convince people to watch the movie that I suggest or do the project that I would have suggested. So this is something most of the time, say 70% of the time, I succeed in convincing people. Now, three questions answered beautifully. Okay. Now, I ask you all a question. How many people will select this candidate if he gives you these three questions for that job? Most of you would say yes to me. And this is my experience. Which everybody says, wow, what fantastic answers. Now, trust me, if I were to hire this person for this job, I will not hire this guy. And the reason is very simple. Okay. He did rule number one absolutely fine. All three questions which I posted to him were given with examples, and an authentication got stuck. Yes, this guy is creative. This guy maintains friendships. This guy can convince. All the three are tick mark. But still, why I will not hire him is the candidate did not think why these questions were put to him. Okay, spend some time, think. The reason why I asked him this questions is, what kind of job is that? No, it's a job where you guy sits on the computer, pop-ups comes, addresses the pop-up comes, addresses the. It's a very monotonous job. It's a boring kind of a job with due respect to the job. Okay, it's a boring kind of a job. Now understand something. Would I hire a creative person in a boring job? He will get bored in 4 days. Pak jayega. And the fourth day, because he is very good in making friends, he would have made friends with everybody sitting there in the team. And because he is good in convincing, fifth day he would have convinced everybody, scope no future, come. And everybody will come along with him. Possibilities are high. So understand, the answers might have been right. I would have gauged that you are creative, but at the end of the day, it's a combination. He did rule number one, but he missed out on rule number three. This is the key. This is the key. So every time an interviewer asks you a question, start thinking, why the hell is he asking me this question? Is it connected to the job? Then probably the answer could be, what are the similar job interview, same job, and you ask him, what are your hobbies? Sir, I love playing Candy Crush. Fantastic. Come. Because why? Sitting in the computer, you are very comfortable. Okay. These are the kind of people. But doesn't mean, let's give you a hypothetical example. But when people ask you any question, always for a few microseconds before you blurt out the answer, take a few seconds and understand who why this question was asked, because that is the key. If you realize why this question was asked, then most of the time your job is done. Okay, so I repeat all the three pointers. First thing is, don't give one word answers. Basically what I'm telling you is, give examples. The more examples you give, the more authentication happens that this guy has that quality or ability. Second, don't lie. But at the same time, I'm sharing that it is not important that you should speak the truth always. Sometimes, okay, don't give unwanted information. Third pointer. When I say don't answer questions, I say always think for a few seconds why this question was asked and answer why it was asked rather than what was asked. Understand the three rules, and then a lot of your interviews goof ups will disappear and you will be able to crack them and take it to the next level. Let me go ahead and give you a few generic more tips with respect to some of the topics that I spoke of. First of all, let us understand the purpose of a resume. The standard answer when I ask students, what is the purpose of a resume? The first answer that comes to me is the interviewer should know about us, not necessary. Okay. To understand the purpose of a resume, let me give you a different way to think about what is a resume. A resume is nothing but your advertisement material. If you are the product, the resume is nothing but a piece of brochure. It's a brochure, okay? Pamphlets, okay? And how do we create pamphlets? I'll ask you a small question. You all do college festivals, right? And you create a nice brochure for your college festival, right? Okay. Now, have you ever copied straight? You take one college's invitation brochure, just remove the college name and put your content name and your college's name and change the brochure. Have you ever done that? You design the brochure from scratch, right? You don't copy paste here, right? But when it comes to resume, the first and more easiest thing that you do is you take the topper's resume, Control C, Control V, marks changed, name changed, that's all. Utna hi. That is dangerous because an advertisement. So let me give you another example. BMW, a nice luxury car, comes out with a beautiful advertisement. I'm just giving you an advertisement copy. A five-star hotel ka backdrop of the five-star hotel. There is this car that has come, okay, and the guy is getting down from the BMW car. The hotel people are putting tika, mala, all those things, and basically there is a caption up that says BMW, a class apart. Okay, basically it shows that it's a status symbol. Okay, it's a status symbol. Now let me say you come out with a another car. Say let me take the I don't want to take a car's name. Suppose XYZ car. Okay, a small car, a low end car. Okay, now this car says this, you know, product is amazing. This advertisement is amazing. We will do the same advertisement, same five-star hotel. The BMW को निकाल के छोटा गाड़ी डाल दिया and status में नाम changed this car, you know, a class apart. No, I'm sure this ad is pathetic because it doesn't serve the purpose. So understand, but this is exactly what we do in a resume. We take the topper's resume, name changed, marks changed, and we say resume done. That's not how you do resume. If the moment you start looking at a resume as a brochure or your advertisement material, then we realize that the purpose of a resume is to sell yourself. Your good things have to come out in the resume. Okay, so it's you will not go out there and say, sir, third standard I failed. If it is not asked for, don't say rule number two. Keep quiet. Rule number two is applicable even in the same. So I'll give you some of the small generic tips that I would like to do, especially with respect to marks. Suppose a student like me who is not very good in studies. Okay. Now please understand, in the resume, don't put it in tabular column, your marks in tabular column. Because in a white paper, if there is a table, if there is a table, the attention will come to that table only. And there, so topper का strength क्या है? Topper का strength marks है. Topper strength of the toppers is marks. So topper will put a table column to influence that interviewer. Boss, देखो, marks are very good. And the interviewer gets impressed. 89.56, 90.53, 8.9, CGPA 9.3, CGPA. He is impressed. But if you copy paste a resume and marks are like mine, sir, 59 point, where am I? 61 point, God knows what I'm doing. Okay, trust me, the first question the interviewer will ask you is, oh, you don't seem to be good in studies. Why? Now understand, outside you would have told your friend, let him ask me anything other than marks. I will crack the interview. But understand, he or she did not ask you that question. You made him or her ask you that question. Understand this. This is where we go wrong. Okay. So who told you to put a resume in marks column? There are ways to create resumes where you actually put it in a paragraph. Pursuing my MBA in so-and-so college from so-and-so university with the current aggregate of so-and-so. No highlight, no control V, control I, control U, no control highlight at all. So what happens? It comes as part of the piece of paper. So you are not, though the information is there, you have made sure that the attention is not going to that. and you probably can get the attention to your project work. You can get your attention to your internships. You can get attention to your things which are your forte, your extracurricular activities, your college festival organizing committee, your best manager awards that you have won. Those are the things where you can actually get your attention to. You have the control in your hand because you are creating the resume. Don't give that control to somebody else. Okay. Second point which I wanted to share is spend a lot of time on resume. In fact, there are two things that you need to spend a lot of time on in an interview: resume and tell me the answer that you will give to the first question asked. Tell me something about yourself, because these are the only two main things which are sources of information to the interviewer about you. The interviewer does not know anything about you except for the answer that you give to tell me something about yourself and the resume that you are giving. So we are in control. The students are in control. The interview we is in control. So you can actually change. You can actually change and make your resume. Spend a lot of time. In fact, my suggestion is every company should have you should create a separate resume, because what one company is seeking for is not what is sought of in the other company, depending upon the job profile. I gave you an example about the previous example, rule number 3 count. Okay, are you a creative person? So one company might want a creative person, one company might not want a creative person. And I find a lot of mistakes that is done in resumes. They put one nice column, areas of interest, and they will give that same thing. They never change resumes. And a company which is coming from outside the area of interest also, they will see the resume, area of interest. Oh, this, we are not this kind of a company. And the answer that the candidate will sleepishly give is, no problem, sir. Then the next question he will ask, so what if I give you a job tomorrow? If another company from your area of interest comes and gives you the job, will you take it? They will say, once we all know the answer, but they will very nicely say, no sir, because you gave me the job first, I will stick to you. मुझे भी पता है, आपको भी पता है, full गोली है. So why even lie? So understand this. This question did not come to you because you got Jnanodaya. No, he asked you this question because you put it in the resume areas of interest and you applied for a company which is not outside your area of interest. At least have the ability to change your areas of interest depending upon which company is coming for interview. Okay, so these are some of the things. Some of the times, rule number 2, resumes may people spend too much on their project. A project is again, suppose especially in dual specialization, marketing and finance. I highlight my finance project so strongly and I apply for a marketing job, or I highlight my marketing project so strongly in my resume and I speak about it and tell me something about it and I apply for a finance job. It is not going to gel well. So that is where we need to understand the importance of resume. Resume is your brochure. Start thinking it that way. Your thought process will change and you will be able to create a fantastic resume. Today, because of the COVID, video resumes are gaining a lot of prominence, and if you don't have one, it is high time you start making one. Of course, yes, there is a lot of techniques to create video resumes, but that's beyond the scope of today's session. We can probably look at it later. So in case somebody is interested, you can always text me or email me, and then we can take it up from there. Okay. So, but video resumes have your focus towards creating video resumes. That's what is the future in, especially with virtual interviews happening. I think virtual video resumes are going to be a new age too. Okay, so get used to it. I don't want to speak about this much. The way you dress for an interview has got to be dressed the way you, whether it's a virtual interview or it is a real-time interview, the dressing sense has to be same. Okay, you cannot give an impression that you are dressed only today like this. That is one dangerous answer which I give. Or the other one is having an, suppose you are wearing a tie and you have never worn tie. This is what people do. Look at me, cameraman. This is what people do. Sir, my name is, every 2 minutes one they are uncomfortable because they are wearing. So my humble request is, in case you plan to wear a tie for an interview daily when you come to college also, or get used to wearing a tie at least daily. So because if your corporate wants you to dress, have a formal dressing, you should know how to dress a tie. If you sport a beard, make sure that the beard is well maintained. Okay, it is trimmed. Okay, so these are some of the basic things that you need to do. Give out your best impressions in an interview. First impressions matter. Coming back to the chocolate example, wrapper is what sells in a chocolate more than the chocolate. So one of the biggest constituents is the way you look. I'm not saying you need to look personality wise, but I'm talking about dressing sense, which is in our hands, can be taken care of. Okay, so I'll spend a few minutes here on the answer for how you create your tell me something about yourself. But the first thing which I would like to say is, a lot of times people come and say, sir, I'm scared of interviews. And I ask them why. The standard answer they give is, I don't know what they will ask. I can tell you in the whole world, The one thing which is leaked is actually an interview. Question paper agar leak hua hai, so it's an interview. First question, everybody agrees this is going to be predominantly the first question that's asked. Tell me something about yourself. Okay, now understand that means my first question is leaked, so I can prepare my answer today. Look at what this guy is doing. Have you, when you do fishing, right? If you understand, you put a small worm, a bait, so that hoping that the fish will catch. Now understand, if I can create a beautiful answer on tell me something about yourself, where I throw baits, catch this, Mr. Interviewer, no, catch this, catch this, catch this. Trust me, if I'm throwing good baits, the interviewer will get excited with my baits and ask me a question from any of those five. I'm assuming I'm throwing five baits. Don't you think the interviewer will ask me any one question from the five baits? That means second question is also leaked. It's going to be one out of those five. Can't I prepare answers to all the five possible questions that can come because of the five baits and create answers to all them? So second question gets leaked. So from that second question, if I'm throwing further five baits, 5 into 5, 25. In 31 questions, 3 questions are leaked. This question, you are in control of the conversation. So that's the best part about an interview. You can get the interviewer to ask you a question which you want them to ask. I'll give you a classic example. With an example so people will understand it better. Suppose I am not good in studies and I go to an interview and this interviewer asks me, tell me something about it. And I say, this is the normal answer, which is standard answer, which I get from most of the students in a mock interview or real-time interview. My name is XYZ. I'm studying in XYZ college. This is what, and I'm finally a student of this subject or this branch of this graduation degree, this MBA in final year MBA in marketing and finance. I would like to say that I did my degree in so-and-so subject in so-and-so college. I also am from originally this place. My parents are agriculturists or my parents are working in bank or something, whichever my parents are doing. Mom is a housewife. My hobbies are XYZ. Now tell me something. इसमें क्या है? Nothing. I get no information about you except the basic. It doesn't excite me. So what I do, I ask you a second question which is out of syllabus. Basically a question which you have not prepared for. But the second, suppose if you had prepared the answer like this, I'll give you a hypothetical example again. Sir, tell me something about yourself. My name is XYZ. I'm basically doing my final years in so-and-so college in MBA in this discipline. I would like to say that as part of my college, I have been the, suppose I'm not good in studies. Suppose think that I'm not good in studies. Okay, that's it. I would also like to say that I've been part of the organizing committee for most of the college functions. In fact, for the last 2 years, I have been participated in. I've been volunteer to 3 festivals that happen in the college. One is a cultural event, one is a technical paper presentation event, and one is a regular event which happens every year, a college festival kind of a thing. Not only that, I have submitted 2 technical papers on marketing for this particular journal. I also have participated in other college festivals and have won Best Managers Award in a few. I'm also an avid sports person and I have represented my college in cricket. And not only that, sir, in my colony, there's a small, cultural committee where we conduct during New Year. We are part of the organizing committee where we do this on I'm the general honorary secretary of that particular committee where we conduct this New Year event in my colony for the last 8 years. I have been doing it right from my childhood. I've been, our committee is actually taking care of that. And in fact, we go and collect money from the people in the residential locality, and that brings me a little bit of expertise in sales. So without selling a product, actually we collect money from Chanda and we conduct this festival in a grand manner. Conducting that festival also taught us how to manage resources and last minute challenges that always come in, how to take care of problem solving. So it gives me a nice pepper from understanding finance, taking care of marketing, at the same time problem management and resource management as well. I would also like to say that my hobbies are X and Y. Now understand something. I created this. Didn't I throw enough baits? I did not speak about education. I spoke about my strengths. I spoke about my extracurricular activities. I spoke about my connecting between my Ganpati committee or anything which you did, and you have connected that with what this job expectation is there. Don't you think the second question will come from one of the Ganpati committee or my hobbies, if it is a curiosity creating hobby, or if it is a these are the things which actually throw the bait. When you throw the bait, the second question comes, and then they ask you a question that you wanted them to ask. Okay, so if he says, tell me more about that, I'm excited, tell me more about that organizing cultural committee that you do, how do you do the process? Now when they ask a question, trust me, your mind will say okay, because not because you know the answer, but because he asked you a question that you wanted him to ask, that means you are in control of the conversation. Controlling the conversation does not mean dominating. You can be below, but you can control the conversation. When they ask you a question, your confidence skyrockets, and then you start taking it. So if I prepared the answer to the second question, I throw that answer. So a lot of time we need to spend time on tell me something about yourself. This is the key. Again, I can't go beyond this in this small time limit that we have. In case somebody is interested, we can take that offline, or like I said, we can plan to do a paid course for 3 days, 3 into 1.5 hours, 3 sessions of 1.5 hours each, where I plan to do video resumes, as well as tell me something about yourself, a lot of mock interviews and GDs. This is what we have thought of. Let us see how it goes. Uh, Use positive baits. Don't use any negative baits. Okay. So when you're using those baits, you should actually sell yourself. खुद को बेचना है. You have 10 minutes time to sell yourself. Okay. But at the same time, don't boast. It should come naturally as part of a conversation. Okay. Because when people get information, when they don't ask you a question, it actually means gives them more. They feel that it is even true. Like if they ask you, are you a creative person, and then you give an example, they know it is true, but they feel, is this guy prepared for this question? But if without they asking, if I talk about that, if I tell me something about yourself and show that this job requires creativity, and I show my creativity side there, creative side there, then my job is done. Because when people get information without being asked, they feel it's absolutely true. So that's an extra advantage that you can have, because in the first question, tell me something about yourself. Some generic tips with respect to GDs. D in GD is for discussion. It's not a debate. Okay. So it's absolutely fine for a person when they get a topic to talk for and against the point. No problem. You can put 2-3 points for the topic. You can put 2-3 points against the topic as well. Please understand that's the norm, because you're going to come to a conclusion after the discussion, which means if you have already decided and you are going to fight for it, it means this person is not open to listen to other people. So that's the dangerous sign. If somebody gives you an idea and you say you have said a point against it, and somebody counters you, and if you feel that that counter is right, you can actually accept what you said is right and take that idea of that guy and build it to the next level. Absolutely fine. We love this kind of people in the interview. Suppose somebody counters you, you accept it and you add an extra thought to what he thought. It means you're open to ideas and you build on other people's ideas. You're a perfect team man, and you're able to conceptualize stuff. That's what we want. So that's something which I want to do. When you're countering people, suppose you're going to counter people, never counter people. Don't attack people personally. Attack their points. Give the logical differences of opinion to their thought process, their points which they are making. Argue on the points, not on the. Don't say what you are saying is absolute stupidity. Okay, no, haven't you studied this? No, these are all personal attacks. This is very dangerous. So you have to counter people's points. Don't counter people. Something which is very clear. There are predominantly 4 types of GDs. I don't have much time on that. Behavioral testing, where the topic is to test your behavior. Then there is a topic which is case study based discussions, where we are checking your ability to analyze stuff and infer stuff, data interpretation. The third thing is abstract. Abstract is the ability to think out of the box, ada teda. Okay, and the first one is knowledge testing topics, where these are the 4 things: knowledge testing, behavioral testing, abstract, and case studies. Each one depends upon which kind of jobs you are applying for. So when you get a case study, you can actually understand that this quality is being gauged in this particular GD. If you get a topic that is controversial in nature, then immediately understand that they are checking our ability to be rational and argue without countering people and countering people's points. They are looking at people's ability to not get emotional and hyper. Okay, they are checking your behavior, not your English, not your communication skills. So immediately, if you get a controversial topic, realize that they are checking your behavior. So please start focusing on maintaining good postures. Don't, when somebody is giving a point, no, don't use this kind of body language. You can do this. Okay, but with due deference, I beg to differ. This is why I beg to differ with your points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is how you participate in a GD. Very basic, generic, because I'm running short of time. Domain knowledge. Okay, please understand when they start asking you technical questions. When I use the word technical questions, we are talking about domain knowledge. Depending upon which kind of interview, technical questions can be marketing, finance, if it's engineering, it would be engineering technical questions, etc. Every question that we ask to you in a regarding subject will always be the basics, the foundation. Because understand, if your conceptual clarity is there, if your foundation is strong, we can build buildings on it. But if your foundation is not strong. Okay, like understand some of the basic questions. Difference between sales and marketing. We don't expect you to give me Kotler in reply. Okay, we want to know, have you understood it? Okay, sales marketing, is loss an asset, is loss a liability? Okay, where does loss come? These are kind of a thing. Where does loss come in a balance sheet? These are basic questions. HR, what is selection, what is rejection? Is selection part of rejection, is rejection part of selection? Are they both, are they opposite? These are conceptual clarities. Recruiting, what do you know about recruiting? What kind of candidates do you want to hire for? You talk about data analytics, the basic of data analytics. Have you understood conceptual clarity? Okay, and I always believe that if you can teach a subject to a 5-year-old bacha, it means that your conceptual clarity is strong. If you cannot do that, then what we do, we start using big jargons. That 3 Idiots movie mein photo ka book ka ek definition deta hai na, we start using big jargons. Why? Because convincing is out of the question. At least let us confuse this person. Okay, so this is something which you have to be careful. We focus on the foundation question, the basics. Okay, that is what we focus on. So if that is clear, trust me, your domain knowledge is going to be very strong. Okay, don't lie, don't fib. If you know the answer for a technical question, if you know the answer, behavioral question you have to answer. Technical question, if you know the answer, say the answer. Okay, if you don't know the answer, say you don't know and say apologize for it. But at the same time, if you have little bit idea, you can use this word, sir, I'm not very sure of the answer, thinking out loudly, and you give out the answer. Thinking out loud means that you don't know the answer, and your whatever is coming to your mind right now, you are going to say it. So that gives you a cushion, that you are showing to the person that I don't know the answer, but I'm thinking it out loud, and this is it. Okay, but if it's a very basic question and you don't know, don't use the word thinking out loud, because basic question ko bhi he does not know. Then it is, if it's an application oriented question, then you can say, I'm not very sure about the answer, but thinking out loudly, this is why I probably feel this is the answer. So thinking out loud can help you understand and show the interview that you don't know the answer, but you are going to showcase your thought process. Okay, I'll give a small example from a science perspective. If they ask you a question of what is photovoltaic something, okay, XYZ, okay, now you can say, I don't know the answer, sir, but just to thinking out loudly, photo means something to do with light, voltaic means something to do with voltage or probably, so something connected to that, so something like that. Okay, or photovoltaic cell. Okay, then you can say something which is connected with charges through light. So that's probably, I think, I'm not sure, but I just thought out loud. Now understand this. So it shows that when a problem is coming, this person is not giving up, but is trying to break a problem into a complex problem into smaller problems and try to solve it. So that plus comes. That's a sign of your attitude. Knowledge is always tested, but along with knowledge, what we seek to an interview is definitely how you apply knowledge. You might have the best knowledge. Trust me, you might have the best of knowledge, but if you don't know how to apply it, then big question mark. I'll give you an example. I always ask this question in research scholars when they come. I ask questions, does your mom know sampling theory? Sampling theory is nothing but elections mein wagera they do na, exit polls mein. What they do? They bring in the candidate. Sorry, they do an exit poll for around 1,000-2,000 people in a particular constituency, and they find whom the people vote for based different upon the background. And then they say, okay, basically because of the small sample study which says that in this sample this person will winning the elections, so we can say in this constituency this person will win the election. Okay, so that's basically you do a test research on a small sample and then extrapolate that result to the entire population and say this is what happens. This is exactly. So this is sampling theory for people who don't know. I ask them a question, does your mother know sampling theory? Their answer is no. Then I ask them a question, does your mother apply sampling theory? Some of them say no. Now understand, every person day in, day out does sampling. Your mother tasting sambar, little bit sambar mein, namak kam hai, that is sample. The spoon is a sample. When I say that the sample mein namak kam hai, the population requires namak, so you put salt in the population. So bindi kharidne ke liye gaya, do bindi ko tod ke dega, bhaiya 1 kilo de dena. So understand, this is sampling theory. So what I'm sharing is application of the problem is the key. You should not be able to say that I can solve problem only when you say that this problem comes from this particular chapter. Then it is dangerous. Okay, because we are used to this module kind of examination. No, that first question means this module only. So we immediately start thinking from that perspective. In life, when you get a problem, it will not even say whether it is out of syllabus problem or inside syllabus problem. So application of knowledge is what people look out for in an interview. So whenever advertisements, when you watch an advertisement, start understanding what do this company market, what do they do. I'll give an example. Cafe Coffee Day. What does Cafe Coffee Day ideally market? The answer that I always get is coffee. No, coffee is not the right answer. Cafe Coffee Day actually, technically speaking, sells space. You come, sit, spend a lot of time. I know you come for 3 4 hours, you will buy. Look at their positioning statement. What is the positioning statement of Cafe Coffee Day? A lot can happen over coffee. They never said best coffee here, come drink coffee here. They said a lot can happen over coffee. So their positioning statement, the thought of putting it into your mind is so strong that even if you have not gone to Cafe Coffee Day also, when I tell you Cafe Coffee Day, the first thing that your time comes to your mind is date, or where I can spend some time with somebody. Okay, I have 300 400 bucks in my pocket and I want to spend 3 hours. Cafe Coffee Day comes to your mind. Cafe Coffee Day didn't come to your mind when you thought of coffee. So think about it. This is positioning statement. This is application of the knowledge. So when you watch advertisements, start looking at who is this target segment, whom are they positioning it, how much advertisements are coming, what is the revenue that they are spending on advertisement. Finance वालों के लिए recruitment हो रहा है. When companies are advertising, that means recruitment can happen in those companies. Start looking at those as an HR option. So there is gyan everywhere outside. Start focusing on understanding domain knowledge. I'll give you another example. I do not know how many people have traveled by train from Bangalore to Mysore. There is one Kadleka guy who actually opens one packet of Kadleka and gives one Kadleka to everybody on the coach, and then starts selling his Kadleka. Everybody takes a free sample and eats it. Now, Gyan can come to you from anybody. This Kadlaika guy can teach you what Geo did. Geo gave 1 year free to everybody, right? And then they started encashing on it. Same thing is what this Kadlaika guy also does. But don't think that Gyan will come only from Geo, Amazons, Unilever, and these kind of companies. Gyan can come to you from anybody. The cobbler on street can teach you business. Okay, but we need to be focused on, and we need to be focused on to learn. So domain knowledge is the key, and in knowledge, application of what we have studied is the key. So this is the biggest difference that you can bring to the table. Lastly, I won't speak much about this because this is something which cannot be changed in one day or 2 days of practice. This is a continuous process. But yes, a few tips I can give on that. Don't underestimate Shahrukh Khan ka bhasha mein. Okay, don't underestimate the knowledge of the interviewer. Don't underestimate the knowledge of the interviewer. Okay, the reason is they are there, they know their job well. If, for example, if I'm interacting with anybody for 5 minutes, in 5 minutes I can tell you the history of that guy, I can tell you this is this guy, and then I decide whether this guy is the right candidate or not. That comes with experience, it comes with time. When you meet a lot of people and you understand people better, it doesn't take you much time. So be grounded. Don't underestimate the knowledge of the interviewer. Don't they might actually, if you're giving a wrong answer also, trust me, an interviewer will never make you feel that you have gone wrong. They will put you at ease. You're giving a totally wrong answer. This is the way they will be looking at you is like this. Okay. And you're giving full goli, full jute, but they will be like this. Okay. 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 And you are in your mind, am I right? Sure. Okay, and then you start giving. But trust me, they will not hire you. They will not select you. But they will never make you feel bad that you have given the wrong answer. Okay, so please understand this. Don't underestimate them ever. Okay, and one big thing which we focus is excuses can never be reasons for you not achieving something or not getting something. And most of the times, unknowingly, when they say why this happened, the first thing that you come out and you say is an excuse, and we make that excuse like a reason. Understand, excuses can never be reasons. So this is one of the biggest giveaways in an attitude testing questions. We find out whether this guy gives excuses. Okay, if you do, you will not be rated highly on attitude. So take care of that. There's a very thin line between high self-esteem and ego. Both self-esteem is definitely required, but at the same time, it's borderlining on ego. So when the moment you cross the line from high self-esteem and you shift towards ego, it becomes a negative attitude. But you have a high self-esteem, fantastic. We respect that. So there's a very thin line. Again, depends upon the job. Sales, suppose aggression. Sales jobs में aggression चाहिए. We don't want a papa character, जो साधु kind of character to be in sales. We want people जो भागेगा, yes करूँगा यार करूँगा, ये नहीं तो उसको कर, आज order लेके आता हूँ. That kind of thing which we need in sales. But at the same time, if in customer support, we don't want very aggressive people. You tell me what's the problem? So what? It's working, no? No, this is dangerous. Okay, but that doesn't mean that the sales guy will go and talk to the customer this way. But the attitude perspective is different. So what we look for in a customer support kind of a person is totally different than the person whom we look out for in a sales. The person who look on HR is different. The person whom we look for in finance is different. So every job requirement has job profile has got its own requirements which you need to cater to. Horses for courses, that's what I said, that you need to depending upon which job profile you're applying for, the what you're going to be judged on is going to be different. So we come to the end of the slides. I just want to share 2-3 more slides. Before that, I'll tell you, in the comment section, once the session video gets ended, please go into the link which will be shared or below. There will be a link which is coming on below, which is nothing but my YouTube channel, youtube.com. I'll share that link here as well. So we'll take the questions in the question answer session. Yes, I am planning for a paid interactive session for 3 sessions with this thing for those who are interested. That we can you can send us a mail once, reply to the mail that we send to you. Yes, we will take those questions, put it in the comment. But it's a live session which is going to start immediately after this. Immediately after this, I'm going to say the link to the live session is my website, which is nothing but youtube.com/c/prof Ramani Venkat. That is the one which is getting scrolled below. So immediately log into that once this video gets over, and there will be a live session karke one beam will be there. Click on the live session and you will come to me. I'll be there live with you all in front of you, where I'll take a few questions which you post there. At the same time, humble request, if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, and most importantly, click on the bell icon, so which we start immediately we get to know. And I'm starting one more series called a 5-minute MBA series, where conceptual gyan of any topic which we are linked in will be given to you in 5 minutes kind of thing. So that's one more thing which we are going to start for students like you. So thanks so much. Looking forward to see you at the other side in the live session. Thanks so much. God bless you. Be safe. Stay safe. Thank you.